Did you know that most women stay silent about what they truly hate in bed? They don't keep quiet because they don't feel it, but because they don't want to hurt their partner. The result? The same mistakes keep happening. And even though these mistakes may look small on the surface, they slowly destroy pleasure, cool down intimacy, and turn what should be connection into silent frustration. And here's the most surprising part. These mistakes don't happen because of a lack of love or desire. They happen because most men were never truly taught how female pleasure works. That's why even loving, dedicated, well-intentioned men can make serious mistakes. Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, urologist and sexologist with more than 20 years of clinical experience. Over the years, I've listened to the stories, confessions, and frustrations of hundreds of couples, and today, I'll reveal, clearly and directly, what women really hate that you do in bed. More importantly, I'll show you how to avoid these mistakes so you can turn your intimacy into something memorable and lasting. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because here you won't find cliches or empty talk, but the real secrets that change how you experience your intimate life.
And stay with me until the end, because I'll share one detail most men over 40 ignore. A detail that can completely kill pleasure if you don't know how to handle it.
The first thing a woman hates that you do in bed is going straight to penetration without preparing her body first. This is probably the most common mistake, and also the most damaging. Many men believe that since male desire is instant, female desire should be too. But the truth is completely different. A woman's body needs time, stimulation, tenderness, and a gradual buildup of arousal, like slowly lighting a flame that grows with each touch. When this stage is skipped, what comes is not pleasure, but pain, discomfort, and worst of all, a deep break in emotional connection. I remember one of my patients, David, 48 years old, who came into my office visibly frustrated. He told me, "Doctor, I don't understand. I feel desire. I have no problem with erections. But my wife complains of pain and seems more and more distant from me." When I asked him about the moments before penetration, he answered almost without thinking, "Oh, doctor, most of the time we don't waste time with that. I just get straight to the point." And that's when it became clear. He believed foreplay was optional. But the truth is, for women, foreplay is not extra. It's essential. Without it, she can hardly surrender fully. There's even a simple test any man can use. Pay attention to her body, faster breathing, deeper moans, subtle movements of surrender, and natural lubrication. If these signs aren't there, her body simply isn't ready. When David finally understood this difference and began investing real time in awakening his wife with touches, kisses, caresses, and genuine attention, the change was immediate. She stopped feeling pain, her desire returned, and for the first time in years, she began to see sex as pleasure again, not as an obligation. This kind of transformation doesn't just change the act itself, it changes the way a woman sees her partner. But what many men still don't realize is that giving her more time is only part of the solution. You also have to change the way you touch her. And that brings us to the next mistake. The second thing a woman hates that you do in bed is touching her body in a mechanical way, as if you were just following a checklist. This mistake is far more common than most men think. They repeat the same gestures in the same places, always the same way. The problem is, the female body doesn't work like a predictable button. It's an emotional map, and each woman has a unique map, full of different paths to pleasure. James was 55 when he came to see me, visibly insecure. In one of our conversations, he admitted, "Doctor, for me, intimacy has always felt satisfying. But for my wife, it's like nothing works. She feels blocked, she can't let go, and many times she even seems distant. What can I do to help her open up?" So I asked if he spent time exploring her body in different ways during foreplay, touching her neck, her back, her hands, her feet, or even areas many men never consider. James fell silent. That pause spoke louder than words. Then, with a shy smile, he admitted, "I've never thought about that. I've always touched the same places, The same way that was the turning point. Because what was missing wasn't desire, it was variety, intention, and care in the details. Repetitive, automatic touch, without variation, doesn't create novelty. It doesn't spark imagination. And worse, it slowly kills intimacy. For a woman, every gesture must carry intention, as if it were an invitation for her body to open gradually to pleasure. When a man understands that it's not about repeating movements, but about exploring with curiosity, the entire experience changes. A simple shift, an unexpected touch, can transform something ordinary into something unforgettable. Many women need just a little more dedication to relax and truly surrender. And that doesn't mean they lack desire. It means they need the right environment for their body to respond. That's why I always encourage couples to use tools that can help in this process, like massages, body creams, and small rituals of care that make touch softer, more comfortable, and far more intimate. In addition, certain intimate gels can become powerful allies in a couple's sex life. They don't just reduce friction and make touch feel softer. They also create a sense of comfort that helps a woman relax and fully surrender. In some cases, these products even stimulate blood flow and heighten sensitivity in specific areas of the female body, turning each touch into something far more engaging. Of course, every couple should choose whatever feels right for their routine and what makes both partners feel safe. But one product I often recommend in my practice is Vigorel, a natural gel designed specifically to awaken and intensify a woman's sensations. Unlike a regular cream, it enhances lubrication and amplifies pleasure, turning simple caresses into far more exciting experiences and helping break through barriers that often keep women from fully letting go. If you'd like to learn more about this gel and how it can help, I've left a link in the description below and a QR code on the screen so you can check it out easily. But there's another detail, one even more delicate, because sometimes it's not just the lack of proper foreplay that holds a woman back, it's her own body creating physical barriers that can make pleasure almost impossible. And that brings us to the next mistake. The third thing a woman hates that you do in bed is ignoring her body's natural conditions. This is a silent mistake many men make without even realizing it, especially after the age of 40. It's common for women to face vaginal dryness, not because they've lost desire, but because of natural hormonal changes in the body. And when this isn't understood, the immediate result is pain, discomfort, and even a mental block that pushes intimacy away. I remember one of my patients, Susan, 49 years old, who came to my office with her husband, Mark. She said, almost in tears, "Doctor, I love my husband, but most of the time sex is painful. I've started to avoid intimacy out of fear of the discomfort, and Mark doesn't always understand." Mark, on the other hand, believed the problem was her lack of interest. But that is one of the most dangerous myths, thinking that needing extra lubrication is the same as not wanting sex. The first step I gave Susan was to speak with her gynecologist to fully investigate what might be happening with her body. I explained that every woman experiences hormonal changes differently, and having medical support is essential to understand the root cause of the discomfort and find the best care. Then, I explained to both of them that a woman's body goes through phases, and respecting these changes is part of maintaining intimacy. I also told them that using resources to improve lubrication isn't a weakness or a failure. It's an intelligent and caring way to protect the relationship. I even suggested turning this adjustment into a ritual for the couple. Instead of seeing it as a problem, they could embrace it as part of their erotic play, something that would bring them even closer. And when they shifted their perspective, everything changed. Susan regained her confidence, her fear turned into pleasure, and Mark finally understood that sex isn't just about physical desire, it's about care, respect, and adapting to each new stage of life. That small change gave them back something they thought was lost, the joy of being together without pain, without guilt, and without fear. But there's still a mistake even more silent, And perhaps the most dangerous of all, one almost every man ignores, believing he knows exactly what his partner wants, without ever having the courage to ask. The fourth thing a woman hates that you do in bed is pretending you know exactly what she likes, without ever asking. This is a silent mistake, but it leads to deep frustration. Many men believe that talking about sex kills the magic, so they prefer to act in the dark, trying to guess desires that, most of the time, don't match what their partner truly feels. I once had a very shy patient, Andrew, 50 years old. One day, he came to my office visibly confused and admitted, "Doctor, I try everything. I do my best to please her in every way, but nothing seems to work. My wife never gets there. I don't know what else to do." Knowing how timid he was, I gently asked if he had ever spoken openly with Laura, his wife, about what really pleased her preferences, her zones of pleasure, the things that awakened her desire. Andrew lowered his eyes, stayed silent for a few seconds, and then sighed. "I've always been too embarrassed to ask. After all, I'm 50 years old, and asking something like that makes me feel like a teenager with his first girlfriend, not knowing anything." That's a mistake that, over time, destroys relationships. Because the truth is simple: communication doesn't kill the magic. It creates intimacy. When a couple talks openly about what works and what doesn't, they stop stumbling in the dark and begin building something stronger: trust, connection, and freedom to surrender without fear of judgment. One simple technique I teach many couples is creating a secret code. It can be a word, a specific touch, or even a subtle gesture. This code works as an intimate guide, showing when something feels good, when to change the rhythm, or when to intensify the stimulation, all without breaking the mood, and science confirms its impact. Studies show that couples who talk about sex release higher levels of dopamine and oxytocin, the hormones tied to pleasure and emotional bonding. In other words, communication doesn't just improve performance, it strengthens the connection and deepens intimacy. When Andrew and Laura decided to use this technique, the change was immediate. Andrew stopped acting blindly, and Laura finally felt free to express what she really wanted. The result was a much deeper, more pleasurable intimacy, built on confidence. But unfortunately, there is still another mistake, one that's even more subtle and just as destructive: turning intimacy into pressure, as if sex were a race against time or a competition to win. The fifth thing a woman hates that you do in bed is treating sex like a race against the clock, or a performance to prove something. Many men believe they need to last as long as possible, multiply orgasms, or impress as if it were a contest. But that mindset creates enormous pressure, triggers anxiety, and in the end, destroys what really matters: presence. I remember one patient, Richard, 47 years old, who confessed something striking. "Doctor, I'm so worried about impressing my partner that I don't enjoy anything myself. It's like I always have a stopwatch in my head. At the end, I feel frustrated, drained, and even distant from her." This is the result of a dangerous myth, believing that great sex is all about exaggerated performance, like a show meant to win applause. But the reality is completely different. True pleasure isn't about quantity or duration. It's about connection, about being fully present in the moment. One simple technique I teach is to trade pressure for presence. Instead of thinking about the clock or how many orgasms she might have, focus on her reactions, the goosebumps, the rhythm of her breath, the look in her eyes. Notice the subtle signs that reveal where the real pleasure is. When a man learns to be present, his partner's body responds with far greater intensity. Richard decided to try this approach. He let go of the idea of proving something and started simply enjoying the moment with his wife. And that was when she finally relaxed, opened up, and for the first time in years, they experienced intimacy without pressure, without demands, only shared pleasure. The sixth thing a woman hates that you do in bed is ignoring what happens after sex. Many men believe that when the act is over, intimacy is over too. They roll over, fall asleep, or simply pull away. But for a woman, that moment is decisive. It's when her body releases oxytocin, the hormone of trust and emotional bonding. And when that care is forgotten, pleasure can quietly turn into frustration. Jennifer was 46 when she came to my office with tears in her eyes. She confessed that, at times, she felt used by her partner. "Doctor," she said, "after sex, my husband just turns to the side and falls asleep. It feels like nothing that just happened mattered to him." That sense of abandonment, repeated over time, creates an invisible wound and can make a woman lose the will to surrender altogether. This care after sex has a name: aftercare. It's the part where the couple doesn't need performance, only presence. A long embrace, a slower kiss, a quiet exchange of looks. Just 5 minutes of closeness, of enjoying the moment together, can be worth more than any technique. It's in this space that the bond is truly sealed, where a woman feels loved, respected, and safe enough to give herself again. When Jennifer finally shared her emptiness with her husband, he changed his attitude. He began dedicating those final minutes only to her, holding her close, looking into her eyes, whispering small words of affection. She later described the experience as if she had rediscovered love inside her own marriage. Now you know, there are attitudes that may seem small, almost harmless, but carry tremendous weight in a couple's intimacy. Rushing straight to penetration, touching mechanically, ignoring the body's natural needs, avoiding communication about pleasure, turning sex into a performance, or forgetting care afterward. Each one of these mistakes alone can cause pain, frustration, and distance. But together, they can destroy the emotional connection that should hold the relationship. The good news is that every single one of them can be avoided. Sex doesn't have to be a source of silence, shame, or distance. With small changes, paying closer attention to her signals, opening up to honest conversation, and being willing to care for both her body and her mind, you can transform intimacy into something much deeper, more pleasurable, and unforgettable for her and for you. And remember, being a great lover has nothing to do with performance or quantity. It's about presence, respect, curiosity, and creating safety. When you understand this, you stop being just a partner and become the man she will never forget. And if you'd like to learn more about Vigorelle, the link is in the description, and there's also a QR code on the screen. It can be an important ally for couples who want to rediscover pleasure with more intensity and confidence. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes do you think men make most often without even realizing it? Leave a comment below. Your experience may help other men who are facing the same challenges. And if this content made sense to you, subscribe and turn on notifications. Here, you'll find clear, practical, no taboo information every week to transform your intimate health and your relationship. Because in the end, the truth is simple. Intimacy doesn't end with past mistakes. It can always begin again, stronger, deeper, and more real than before.